I went to the first Stilettos show.
He was very prominent in the audience to me for some reason, and yet I couldn't really see his face, but there was something about his, I don't know, his presence there that I felt very relaxed about.
The fact that they became friends first deepened the possibilities of that relationship so much for her. Because here the first time was a guy who seemed like an interesting guy, a decent guy, etc., intelligent guy, who wasn't just trying to go to bed with her, right? And I don't know how long it was, but it was certainly a few months before they got involved, which is, a long time.
I probably saw in her what a lot of people saw later on. That was it. But I got there first.
Chris and Debbie had found love, and together they found the downtown club that would change both their lives. CBGB's, birthplace of the burgeoning US punk scene.
Oh, let's go! Oh, let's go!
Oh, here we are. Oh, I feel like such an old person coming in here like this. It's awful.
It was humid. It was smelly.
Get a good shot of these walls and then we'll go into the wallpaper business, because I think we could really sell this.
Beer, dog shit, Chanel No. 5 aroma.
Hilly, the owner, had a half a dozen dogs, and he never walked them. He just took them to the check room.
Toilets is a place you definitely didn't want to go.
Let's go!
They probably hadn't been cleaned since 1917.
Let's go!
There were these bathrooms, and my former wife, I guess opened the door, and there they were, Chris and Debbie having sex, and they just decided they were going to do it, and they did.
So tell us about the famous myth.
What? That we were screwed in the toilet? It's not true. It was the alley back here.
Yeah.
Okay? Happy now?
I think CB's was the most beautiful place I've ever seen in my life. I really do. Because there was an oasis. When you want to be a pop star all your life, and here's a venue that's going to let you do that, let you go out and play your songs. It's Mecca.
Nobody came here except for people that were in the bands, had something to do with the bands, etc.
The audience was the other bands, basically. If you threw a guitar pick in any direction, in CBGB's one night, you're bound to hit like a Talking Head or Ramone or a Heartbreaker or somebody in television or Suicide or Chris or Debbie. This was home for a lot of people.
Everybody in the fucking audience for the first few years was involved with the band somehow.
But one thing I hated about the scene was the snobbery of a lot of the people who hung out there. Everybody was in a band or a rock critic, so nobody would applaud, nobody would go crazy. You could put on a great show and you'd hear the crickets afterwards. It was like the beatnik cafes where everybody snapped their fingers after a performance.
Chris and Debbie were CBGB regulars, so it seemed only natural that they should have a band of their own. But in a world of leather-clad Ramones and talking head geeks, they needed something to help them stand out from the crowd.
I wanna be a platinum blonde, just like all the sexy stars.
When I first met her, she had very short, dark hair. And she came home one day with her hair dyed like blonde and like Twiggy sort of haircut.
My understanding about where the name Blondie came from was that this was what all the truck drivers used to, yell at Debbie, or they would whistle and say, "Hey, Blondie." And that subsequently became, the group.
I went into CBGB's and I saw Debbie Harry sing, and I thought, wow, this girl is fabulous.
Debbie was like, oh my God.
I had a lovely girlfriend already, but she was stunning.
But in a way, she was so beautiful that it would be provocative. And the intellectual types didn't like Blondie. Blondie was looked down on back then, as I remember.
All these fancy nights at
played at CBGB the first 18 months. We weren't the most confident of bands.
We weren't very good. We were pretty bad. Chris would forget what the thing in his hands was. You know, he would sort of look at the guitar like, what's this?
I mean, we sound so good now, we must have just always sounded like crap in those days.
We weren't always like playing the same song at the same time.
Well, my mama didn't teach me why I shouldn't let you reach me, and I'm glad that's a lesson.
I mean, Debbie would forget the lyrics. Blondie was sort of a joke band.
And there were repeatedly remarks that Blondie made it on Debbie's panties, that if Debbie fell over on stage, someone sort of caught a look at her panties, that what would be more interesting than the songs.
I say a girl should know better. I do.
Yeah, we weren't taken seriously initially because, I mean, one factor was because we had a girl singer. And, you know, it was very much a boys' club. I mean, there was really only Patti Smith and Debbie.
Patti Smith was kind of like the goddess at the time.
Jesus died for somebody's sins, but not mine.
Debbie was a fan of Patti's. You know, we were all fans of Patti's. I thought Patti was remarkable.
Patti went to Debbie and said, there's not room enough for both of us here. You know, you're no good. You don't have any talent. You know, you can't really sing. Why don't you leave?
Patti wouldn't even want Debbie on the same bill.
It was the first crisis for the fledgling band as Blondie suddenly found bookings hard to come by. They responded by setting up camp just spitting distance from the club on the Bowery, a godforsaken street in a bankrupt town.
It's a long time since anyone has said the streets of New York are paved with gold. The fact is, New York City is bankrupt. And if the streets are lined with anything, it's potholes. So many of them, there's a special potholes department at the City Hall.
New York was broke. I remember the headline, Jerry Ford tells New York City, drop dead.
I mean, Soho, when I came here, there was not one restaurant. I mean, there was no lights at night.
We used to have to walk by dead bodies lying on the street.
That's true.
So you could rent 1,000 square feet for $70 a month.
This is the place.
In an artist-in-resident loft area.
Where they lived was extraordinary.
It doesn't smell like piss anymore.
We had 3 floors, 4 floors, and we all chipped in.
Wow.
It was haunted. Chris and Debbie swore they saw 2 little children in sweatshop-era clothes holding hands.
So then there was no heat throughout the night. Now, New York winters can be extremely cold.
This floor here never used to have any heat.
Some of the coldest days of the year, you know, rehearsing with gloves on, with little finger holes cut out.
He don't hang around with the gang no more. He don't do the wild things that he did before.
If you looked up at the ceiling, there were certain areas in certain rooms where the ceiling was just gone. And there were rafters. And our landlord, he'd come home at night, he'd pee in bottles because he wouldn't want to come down and disturb us using the bathroom. And we'd come in for rehearsal and we wouldn't want to play too loud to, like, knock the piss over.
It was actually the crucible of Blondie, very much, that loft.
And we had built a little, you know, tiny little stage sort of thing, you know, maybe a few inches off the ground, and set the amps up there. So we could sort of, you know, learn the songs and also practice performing and how you're going to do it and all that sort of thing. I mean, at one point we were rehearsing every day. Not only did we learn the material, but we developed an identity.
That identity was refined in the loft, thanks to Chris's eye for a photo and the perfect muse.
Chris was always, you know, photographically inclined and cinematically inclined.
And he had the greatest subject in the world, then in Debbie.
He definitely knew that shots of Debbie, you know, we're going to make it to the cover of certain magazines.
Pictures that we did of Debbie in the zebra outfit were over here, for sure. I remember we used to set up a psych here with, you know, just white paper. Somehow this came together, this image. I sent it to Cream magazine, and they put it in as the Cream Dream, even though most people hadn't heard the music yet.
I was publishing a magazine called Punk, and shortly after we published this poster, Chris said, well, thanks to this poster, we got signed to Private Stock Records.